My girlfriend's mom pulled me aside at Christmas and said, "I hope you know she's just using you until someone better comes along. You're not her type." I just smiled and thanked her for the honesty, but Carol had no idea what she'd just done. See, I'd been suspicious for months. Natalie always had her phone face down, took calls in the other room, and kept talking about this work friend Jared who drove a Tesla. After Carol's little chat, I started paying attention. Natalie had been going to girls' nights every Friday, but her friend Heather accidentally mentioned they hadn't hung out in weeks. The final piece came when I checked our shared Netflix account. Someone had been watching shows at Jared's address while I was working late shifts. I'd been paying Natalie's rent, car payment, and groceries for 2 years, about $30,000 total, while she got back on her feet. New Year's Eve, Natalie went to Jared's party, said I wouldn't fit in with his crowd. While she was gone, I moved fast, called her landlord, canceled my rent payments, contacted the car dealership, removed myself from her loan, even canceled the credit card I'd added her to. But here's the kicker. I also called Jared's wife. Turns out Mr. Tesla was married with kids. His wife had no idea about Natalie. Here's where it gets interesting. Jared's wife, Angela, was furious, but not just at her husband. She was angry at Natalie for being part of the deception. Angela had a plan. She wanted to expose Natalie publicly, and she asked for my help. We coordinated everything. Angela would confront Jared at his office on January 2nd, making sure all his co-workers knew what he'd been doing. Meanwhile, I prepared Natalie's financial reckoning. I documented every payment I'd made over 2 years. Rent, utilities, car payments, insurance, groceries, date nights, weekend trips, even her gym membership. The total was actually closer to $35,000. I also discovered Natalie had been telling Jared I was just her roommate who helped with bills. She'd been spinning different stories to different people. To her family, I was her devoted boyfriend. To Jared, I was a convenient financial arrangement. To her friends, I was transitional until she found someone better. Natalie came home at 3 a.m. to find eviction notices, repossession warnings, and a detailed breakdown of every dollar I'd spent on her. The note read, "Your mom was right. You're not my type either. Good luck with Jared," his wife says. "Hi, P.S. I've calculated exactly what you owe me. Legal papers are coming." But the real masterpiece happened the next morning. Natalie woke up to discover Jared had blocked her on everything. His wife had shown up at his office with printouts of all their text messages. Jared's boss, who was very family-oriented, wasn't happy about the drama. Jared got suspended pending a review of his conduct. Natalie called me crying, begging me to help her figure out the rent situation. She offered to pay me back gradually. I told her she had 30 days to find new arrangements, and yes, I would be pursuing repayment through legal channels. The best part? Carol called me screaming, saying I'd ruined her daughter's life. I calmly explained that I'd simply stopped enabling Natalie's deception. "You told me she was using me until someone better came along. I decided to stop being used. But she has nowhere to go," Carol wailed. Maybe she should have thought about that before treating relationships like ATM machines. That's when Carol's voice dropped to a whisper. "There's something you need to know. Natalie's pregnant." My stomach turned to ice. "She told me it's yours, but between you and me, she hasn't been sure for weeks now. She was planning to tell you on New Year's to trap you back in." I hung up and sat in silence. 3 minutes later, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Natalie standing there with a small suitcase and her hand resting on her stomach. I didn't open the door. Instead, I pulled out my phone and texted her through the wood separating us. "We're not doing this. You want to talk? Get a paternity test first. Here's the clinic address." I watched her face crumple as she read the message on her screen. "Please," she said, her voice muffled through the door. "Just let me explain." "Explain what? That you've been lying to everyone? That you were going to pin another man's baby on me?" My neighbors were starting to peek out their doors now, curious about the crying woman in the hallway. "You need to leave, Natalie. Now." She stood there for another 5 minutes, sobbing and pleading, but I didn't budge. Finally, when old Mrs. Kim from 3B threatened to call the building manager, Natalie grabbed her suitcase and left. The second she was gone, I called Angela. "You're not going to believe this," I said. "Natalie just showed up at my place. She's pregnant." There was silence on the other end. Then Angela laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Oh, she's pregnant all right. Jared told me last night. Want to know the best part? She told him she was on birth control. She wasn't." "What?" "Jared confessed everything during our fight. Natalie stopped taking her pills months ago. She was trying to trap one of you into staying with her. She just wasn't sure which one would be easier to manipulate." My hands were shaking. "That's insane." "You think that's insane? Check your bathroom trash. I bet you'll find something interesting." I went to my bathroom and dug through the small trash can I kept under the sink. There, wrapped in tissue paper at the bottom, was an old birth control pack. I pulled it out, and sure enough, 2 full months of pills were still in the foil. She'd been hiding them here, probably in case I ever got suspicious and asked to see proof she was taking them. "Found it," I said into the phone. "Take pictures. You're going to need them." I didn't ask what for. I just started documenting everything. The pills, the packaging, the dates. Then I remembered Natalie's father, Tom. He'd always been decent to me, even invited me to his poker nights. He'd paid for Natalie's entire college education, always talking about how proud he was of his daughter. He deserved to know what she'd become. I showed up at Tom's house the next morning with printouts of everything. The financial breakdown, screenshots of texts between Natalie and Jared that Angela had forwarded me, photos of the hidden birth control pills. Tom answered the door in his reading glasses, coffee mug in hand. "Hey, son. Wasn't expecting you. Everything okay? Can I come in? There's something you need to see." His smile faded when he saw my expression. We sat at his kitchen table, and I laid it all out, every single piece of evidence. Tom's face went from confused to angry to disgusted. He kept picking up different papers, reading them over and over like he couldn't believe believe what he was seeing. My daughter did this? His voice was barely a whisper. I'm sorry, Tom. I know this isn't easy to hear. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. That trust fund her mother and I set up for when she turns 26? The one with $80,000 in it? He grabbed his phone. She's not seeing a dime of it. Not after this. Tom, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Natalie needs to face consequences for once in her life. Her mother and I, we've always made excuses for her, always bailed her out. But this? He gestured at the papers spread across the table. This is beyond anything I could have imagined. I left Tom's house feeling like I'd just dropped a bomb on someone's life. But honestly, Natalie had built that bomb herself. I was just the one who showed people it was there. 2 days later, I was at work when I heard yelling in the lobby. My office is on the 3rd floor, but the sound carried. Security called up. Hey, we've got a situation down here. Woman claiming she needs to see you. Says it's an emergency. I already knew who it was. By the time I got downstairs, Natalie was in the middle of a full meltdown. Mascara running down her face, screaming at the security guards that I'd abandoned my child, that I'd ruined her relationship with her father, that I was a deadbeat who deserved to rot in hell. My boss, Jerry, was standing there with his arms crossed. He knew the whole story. I'd had to tell him when Angela first contacted me, just in case things got messy at work. Ma'am, Jerry said, his voice calm but firm. You need to leave the premises now. I'm not leaving until he talks to me. Yes, you are. Jerry nodded to security. Escort her out. And ma'am, you're banned from this building. If you come back, we'll call the police. I watched from the 3rd floor window as they walked her to her car. She kept turning back, screaming my name. My coworkers pretended not to stare, but I could feel their eyes on me. The gossip would be all over the office by lunch. But honestly, I didn't care anymore. The truth was on my side. That night, Carol tried a new tactic. She posted on Facebook, one of those vague, passive-aggressive posts that middle-aged women love. When a man abandons his responsibilities and blames everyone else for his failures, when a man turns his back on his own child, some people will have to answer to God for their sins. I screenshotted immediately, knowing it wouldn't last. Sure enough, within 20 minutes, Angela had commented, Carol, you know that's a lie. Jared is the father, not him. Maybe stop enabling your daughter's manipulation before you post about sin. Then Tom commented, Carol, I've seen the evidence. Stop embarrassing our family with these lies. The man you're attacking spent $35,000 supporting our daughter while she cheated on him. Delete this. Other people started piling on. People who knew us, asking Carol what she was talking about. Friends from her church group, her sister, even her own mother commented asking what was going on. The post was deleted 30 minutes after it went up, but the screenshots would live forever. 10 days later, I got a call from the paternity testing clinic. Mr. Name, your results are ready. Would you like to come in or receive them via email? Email is fine. I sat in my car in the clinic parking lot and opened the PDF on my phone. Probability of paternity, 0%. The baby wasn't mine. I mean, I knew it wasn't, but seeing it in writing felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I forwarded the results to Tom, to Angela, to Carol, and to the group chat Natalie and I used to have with her friends. The message was simple. The truth always comes out. Heather, Natalie's former best friend, was the first to respond. I always knew she was shady, but damn. Then she sent me a private message. Hey, I know we don't really know each other, but there's something you should probably know about Natalie. What she told me made everything make sense. 2 years ago, Natalie had slept with Heather's boyfriend at the time. That's why they stopped being friends. But it wasn't just a one-time thing. Heather showed me screenshots she'd saved, messages where Natalie bragged to other people about having multiple guys on the hook and keeping her options open. She literally said she'd never have to worry about money because there was always some guy willing to pay for her. Heather wrote, I'm sorry I didn't warn you earlier. I just thought she'd changed. Don't apologize. You're giving me exactly what I need. I spent that night creating a timeline. Every lie Natalie had told, every person she'd manipulated, every dollar she'd taken from me. I posted it anonymously on our local Reddit page, the one where everyone in our social circle hung out. I didn't use names, but I included enough details that anyone who knew us would know exactly who I was talking about. The post blew up. Within 6 hours, it had over 200 comments. People were sharing their own stories about Natalie, things I'd never known. How she'd borrowed money from a coworker and never paid it back. How she'd lied about having cancer to get sympathy donations. How she'd sabotaged another girl's relationship because she wanted the guy for herself. By morning, Natalie had been blocked or unfriended by practically everyone we knew. Her Instagram comments were full of people calling her out. She tried to make her accounts private, but the damage was done. My birthday was 2 weeks later. I'd planned a quiet dinner at this Italian place I liked, just me and a few close friends who'd stuck by me through all this drama. We were halfway through our appetizers when Natalie walked in. No, not just Natalie. Natalie and Carol, both looking like they'd been crying for hours. They spotted me immediately and made a beeline for our table. The whole restaurant went quiet. Please, Natalie said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Please, I need help. The medical bills for the pregnancy are piling up and I can't afford them and I don't know what to do. Carol grabbed my arm. You can't just abandon her like this. She needs help. I very calmly removed Carol's hand from my arm. Then I stood up so everyone in the restaurant could hear me clearly. Have you asked Jared? You know, the actual father of your baby? Natalie's face went white. People at nearby tables were definitely listening now. Jared blocked me, she whispered. Well, that's unfortunate, but it's not my problem. You're asking the wrong guy. I pulled out my phone and opened the paternity test results. See this? 0% chance the baby is mine. So maybe you should be having this conversation with Jared, not ruining my birthday dinner. The restaurant was dead silent. I could hear someone's fork hit their plate. Carol tried to say something, but Natalie was already running toward the exit, sobbing. Carol chased after her, shooting me a look of pure hatred. I sat back down. My friend Jake was grinning. Dude, that was savage. Yeah, well, I'm done being nice about this. The waiter came over a minute later. Sir, the table next to you wanted me to tell you that your dinner is on them tonight. They said you handled that with class. I ended up getting 3 free dinners out of that night from different tables in the restaurant. Sometimes the universe does reward you for standing up for yourself, you know? A week later, I was home watching TV when someone started pounding on my apartment door. Loud, aggressive pounding. I looked through the peephole and saw Jared. He was swaying on his feet, clearly drunk, his tie loose, and his shirt untucked. I pulled out my phone and started recording before I opened the door, keeping the chain lock on. What do you want, Jared? Dumb. This is your fault. He slammed his palm against the doorframe. My wife left me. I lost my job. All because you couldn't just keep your mouth shut. No, Jared. All of this happened because you decided to sleep with someone who wasn't your wife. That's on you. She said you wouldn't find out. She said you were just some loser who wouldn't care. He was getting louder, more aggressive. But you had to ruin everything. You had to tell Angela. You destroyed my life. I kept my voice level, making sure my phone was catching every word. I didn't destroy anything. You did. You and Natalie. You made your choices. I'm gonna make you pay for this. He lunged at the door, trying to force it open, but the chain held. You hear me? You're gonna regret this. Jared, you need to leave before I call the cops. Fuck you. He stumbled back, nearly falling over. Then he just broke down, right there in my hallway, slid down the wall and started crying. I lost everything. My wife, my kids, my job. I have nothing left. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. But then I remembered the $35,000 Natalie had taken from me. The 2 years of lies. The pregnancy she tried to pin on me. That's what happens when you make bad choices. Now get out of my building before I press charges for threatening me. I closed the door and immediately sent the video to Angela. She responded within seconds. Thank you. My lawyer is going to love this. I watched through the peephole as Jared eventually pulled himself together and stumbled toward the elevator. He looked broken, destroyed. And honestly, I didn't feel bad about it at all. He'd made his bed. Now he had to lie in it. That was the last time I ever saw Jared in person. Angela told me later that he'd shown up drunk at their house too, trying to beg for forgiveness. She'd called the cops and gotten a restraining order. Last I heard, he'd moved back in with his parents in another state, trying to figure out how to pay child support on an unemployment check. As for Natalie, I never heard from her directly again after that night at the restaurant. But Angela kept me updated. Apparently Natalie tried to move back in with her parents, but Tom and Carol were in the middle of their own crisis. Tom had found out that Carol had been encouraging Natalie's gold-digging behavior for years, actually coaching her on how to manipulate men into paying for things. He filed for separation after 28 years of marriage. Neither of them wanted Natalie in their house after that, so she ended up bouncing between friends' couches for a while, until even they got tired of her drama. Last I heard, she was living in some rundown apartment on the other side of town, working 2 part-time jobs to make ends meet. But the story doesn't quite end there. About 3 weeks after Jared's drunk visit to my place, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? It's me. Natalie's voice was small, defeated. Please don't hang up. I should have. I really should have. But I guess some part of me wanted to hear what she had to say. I need help. Just 1 month's rent. Please. I'll pay you back. I swear. And then I'll disappear. You'll never hear from me again. Natalie, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. Just 1 month. That's all I'm asking. I almost laughed. You mean like how you were just borrowing money for 2 years? Like how you were just temporarily using me until you got back on your feet? This is different. I'm desperate. You're always desperate. That's your whole thing. I paced around my living room trying to keep my voice calm. You know what the funny thing is? I would have helped you if you'd just been honest. If you'd said, hey, I'm struggling. Can we work something out? But you didn't. You lied. You manipulated. You tried to trap me with a baby that wasn't even mine. I know, okay? I know I messed up, but I didn't know what else to do. You could have gotten a job. You could have lived within your means. You could have been a decent human being. I stopped pacing. But instead, you chose to use people. So no, Natalie, I'm not giving you money. Figure it out yourself for once. You're heartless. Her voice turned bitter. I should have known. You never really loved me. And that's when something in me snapped. You want to know the truth? I did love you. I loved you enough to pay your rent for 2 years. I loved you enough to put your name on my credit card. I loved you enough to believe all your lies, even when my gut told me something was wrong. But you never loved me. I was just a wallet to you. A backup plan. Someone to use until someone better came along. Your own mother told me that. The line went quiet. I thought she'd hung up. Then I heard her crying. For the record, I continued, I'm recording this call. And when you inevitably try to claim I abandoned you or whatever story you're going to spin, I'll have proof that you knew the baby was Jared's all along. That you were planning to lie about paternity. That you stopped taking birth control to trap one of us. You're recording this? Yep, every word. So choose your next words carefully. She hung up. I saved the recording and immediately sent it to Angela with a note. She just admitted she knew the baby was Jared's all along and was planning to lie about paternity. Angela's response was instant. You're a lifesaver. Sending this to my lawyer now. 2 days later, Angela called me directly. I don't know how to thank you. My lawyer played that recording during our divorce mediation. Jared tried to make himself look like the victim, said Natalie had trapped him, that he didn't know she'd stopped taking her pills. But then we played your recording where she admits she was planning to trap one of you. His whole defense fell apart. Glad I could help. There's more. The company that employed Jared, they found out about all this drama. Apparently, there's a morality clause in his contract. Something about employees representing the company's values. They fired him. Not suspended, fired. I should have felt bad for the guy, but I didn't. He brought it on himself. He really did. Angela paused. I also wanted you to know that I'm getting full custody of the kids, and Jared's going to be paying me a lot of money for a very long time. After that call, I thought I was finally done with this whole mess. But life had one more twist in store for me. About a week later, Heather called me. Hey, so I know this is random, but I'm meeting up with some people tomorrow night. People who all have stories about Natalie. Want to come? What? Like a support group for people Natalie screwed over? She laughed. Basically, we're all just trying to figure out how we missed the signs for so long. I went to that meeting, held in the back room of a coffee shop. There were 7 of us. Heather, obviously. A guy named Owen, who Natalie had borrowed $3,000 from for a family emergency that never happened. A girl named Britt, who Natalie had sabotaged at work to get a promotion. 2 other guys who dated her before me and had similar stories about financial manipulation. A woman whose husband Natalie had tried to seduce. And me. We sat around swapping stories for 3 hours, each one worse than the last. Owen had text messages where Natalie claimed her mother was dying of cancer, which is why she needed the money. Britt had emails showing how Natalie had stolen her ideas and presented them as her own. One of the ex-boyfriends showed us a restraining order he'd had to file when Natalie wouldn't stop harassing him after their breakup. I feel like an idiot, Owen said. How did I not see this coming? She's good at what she does, Britt answered. That's how. She knows exactly what to say to make you feel like you're the problem if you question her. Did anyone else notice how she always had a crisis right when you were about to confront her about something? One of the exes asked. Like, I was going to break up with her, and suddenly her car broke down and she needed money for repairs. Oh my God, yes. I sat up straighter. Every time I tried to talk to her about her spending, she'd have some emergency. Her phone broke. Her cat needed surgery. Her apartment had a leak. We all started comparing notes, finding patterns. The same manipulations used on different people. The same lies. The same tactics. It was like discovering we'd all been dating the same person, just in different time periods. By the end of the night, we'd created a shared document, a master list of everything Natalie had done to all of us. Not to be cruel, but to protect future people from falling for the same act. We even posted warnings on dating apps, flagging her profiles when we found them. I left that meeting feeling lighter than I had in months, knowing I wasn't alone, that I wasn't crazy, that other people had seen through her too. It helped, but the universe wasn't done with the drama yet. 3 months after that meeting, I was at my apartment complex's gym, running on the treadmill, when I got a text from Tom. Turn on Channel 7 News. I pulled out my phone and found a live stream. And there, on the screen, was a photo of Natalie. The headline read, "Local woman arrested for fraud." I nearly fell off the treadmill. Apparently, Natalie had been running a scam. She'd been creating fake GoFundMe pages, claiming she had various illnesses and needed money for treatment. Cancer, MS, kidney failure. She'd raised over $50,000 from strangers before someone finally got suspicious and reported her. The news showed her being walked out of her apartment in handcuffs. She looked completely different from the woman I dated, thinner, harder. Her hair was stringy and unwashed. She kept her head down, refusing to make eye contact with the cameras. My phone started blowing up, texts from everyone who knew about the situation. Did you see? Oh my God. Can you believe it? I can't believe she went this far. But honestly, I could believe it. This was exactly who Natalie was. She'd been doing the same thing to individuals that she'd now done to the public. The only difference was scale. According to the news, she was looking at serious jail time. Fraud. Wire fraud. Maybe more. Tom texted me again. I can't believe this is my daughter. Where did we go wrong? I didn't have an answer for him. Some people are just broken in ways you can't fix. The trial happened about 6 months later. I wasn't called to testify, but Angela was. So were several of Natalie's GoFundMe victims. The prosecution built a case showing years of manipulation and fraud. They even used the recording I'd made of our phone call, where she admitted to planning to trap someone with a fake pregnancy claim. Natalie tried to play the victim. Her lawyer argued she had mental health issues, that she needed treatment, not prison, that she'd been abused as a child and was just trying to survive. But the judge wasn't buying it. Miss, last name, the judge said, looking at Natalie over her glasses. You have shown a pattern of deliberate, calculated manipulation spanning years. This was not a one-time mistake or a cry for help. This was a lifestyle. And while I sympathize with whatever challenges you've faced, the evidence shows you've hurt dozens of people without remorse. Natalie got 3 years in prison. Her mother Carol was in the courtroom crying. Tom wasn't there. He told me he couldn't watch his daughter go to prison, couldn't bear to see what she'd become. As for me, I was at work when the sentencing came through. Angela called to tell me the news. She got 3 years. Good. How are you feeling about all this? I leaned back in my office chair, looking out the window at the city below. Honestly, I feel nothing. She's not my problem anymore. She hasn't been for a long time. You're better off. I know. And I was. I really was. The $35,000 she'd taken from me stung, and I probably wouldn't see most of it back. But I'd learned something more valuable than money. I'd learned to trust my gut, to see red flags for what they were, to know the difference between helping someone and being used by them. A few months after the sentencing, I ran into Heather at a coffee shop. We'd stayed in touch after that support group meeting, become actual friends. She was dating someone new, seemed happy. How's life treating you? She asked. Pretty good, actually. I got a promotion at work, started seeing someone new. She's a teacher. Very normal, very honest. It's refreshing. That's awesome. Heather grinned. You deserve it, after everything you went through. We all do. I took a sip of my coffee. You know what's funny? I used to think I needed to give people the benefit of the doubt, to be understanding and patient. But there's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. Amen to that. We talked for another hour, laughing about how naive we'd been, how we'd all ignored obvious warning signs because we wanted to believe the best in people. It felt good to laugh about it, like we'd finally moved past the damage Natalie had caused. But I'd be lying if I said I was completely over it. Sometimes I still got angry, thinking about those 2 years I'd wasted on someone who never cared about me. Sometimes I saw her face in my dreams, asking for just one more chance, just one more month of rent money. Those moments passed, though, and each time they came, they lasted a little less long. Life moved on. I moved on. And somewhere in a prison upstate, Natalie was finally facing the consequences of her actions. No more smooth-talking her way out of trouble. No more finding a new guy to bail her out. Just her, in a cell, with nothing but time to think about what she'd done. I heard through the grapevine that she was up for early release after 18 months if she maintained good behavior. Part of me hoped she'd use that time to actually change, to become a better person, but the more realistic part of me knew she probably wouldn't. People like Natalie don't change. They just find new victims. But those new victims wouldn't be me. I'd learned my lesson, and thanks to the warnings our support group had spread, hopefully there'd be fewer victims altogether. As for Carol, last I heard she'd moved to Florida to live with her sister after the divorce from Tom was finalized. Tom stayed in town, started dating someone new, a widow from his church who'd lost her husband to cancer 3 years back. They seemed happy together. Tom seemed lighter, like a weight had been lifted. We still played poker sometimes, Tom and I. He never talked about Natalie unless I brought her up, which I rarely did. But one night, after a few beers, he looked at me and said, "Thank you for showing me the truth. I know it wasn't easy. You deserved to know. Still, you could have just walked away. Let us keep believing the lies. But you didn't. That took courage." I shrugged. I figured if I was hurting this bad from what she did, you guys should at least know why. Tom nodded, and we went back to our card game. But I could tell it meant something to him, knowing the truth, even if that truth hurt. And that's the thing about truth, isn't it? It hurts like hell, but lies hurt worse. They hurt longer. They hurt deeper. I'd rather deal with painful truth than comfortable lies any day of the week. The apartment I was living in when all this went down, I moved out about a year later. Too many memories attached to that place. Found a new spot across town. Bigger, better lighting, no history. Started fresh. That's what you have to do sometimes. Just start fresh. Cut out the rot and rebuild. My new girlfriend, the teacher I mentioned, her name is Amy. She teaches 2nd grade and spends her weekends volunteering at animal shelters. When I told her about Natalie, she just listened. Didn't judge, didn't pity me. Just listened and then said, "That sounds awful. I'm glad you got out." No drama, no hidden agenda. Just a normal, healthy reaction from a normal, healthy person. It was like breathing fresh air after being underwater for 2 years. We took things slow. I made sure of that. I was honest about my baggage, about the trust issues I was working through. Amy was patient. She showed me her bank accounts without me asking, just to prove she wasn't after my money. She paid for dates. She was independent and stable and didn't need me to save her. It was different. It was good. One night, about 6 months into dating Amy, we were at dinner and she said, "I'm not her, you know." I looked up from my pasta. "What?" "Natalie, I'm not her. You can trust me." Amy reached across the table and took my hand. "I know you're scared. I get it. But I'm here because I want to be, not because I need something from you." I felt my throat get tight. "I know. Do you, though?" She squeezed my hand. "Because sometimes you look at me like you're waiting for me to ask for rent money." I laughed, but it came out a little broken. "Sorry. Old habits. I have a job. I have savings. I have my own apartment. I'm not going to use you." She smiled. "I'm here because I actually like you. Weird trauma and all." That was the moment I knew Amy was different. Really different. Not just playing a long game, actually different. We've been together for almost 2 years now. Moved in together last month. She insisted on splitting rent 50 over 50, even though I make more than her. Said it was important to her to contribute equally. Sometimes I still catch myself waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for her to show her true colors. But they never come, because she doesn't have hidden colors. What you see is what you get with Amy. It's refreshing. It's healthy. It's what a relationship should be. As for Natalie, she got released from prison about 8 months ago. I know because Heather sent me a screenshot of her new Instagram account. She'd moved to another state, changed her last name, and was apparently starting over. The bio said something about learning from past mistakes and becoming her best self. The photos showed her at yoga classes and coffee shops, hashtagging things like number blessed and number grateful. I blocked the account immediately. Whatever redemption arc she was trying to sell, I wanted no part of it. Some people deserve second chances. But Natalie had burned through dozens of chances from dozens of people. At some point, you forfeit the right to people's benefit of the doubt. She'd reached that point a long time ago. I don't wish her ill. I don't wish her anything. She's just nothing to me now. A chapter I closed. A lesson I learned. A story I tell sometimes when someone asks why I'm so careful about who I trust. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm more than okay. I'm happy. I have a job I enjoy, a girlfriend who treats me with respect, friends who have my back, and a life that isn't dictated by someone else's crises. I'm no longer anyone's backup plan, no longer anyone's wallet, no longer anyone's safety net. I'm just me, and that's enough. Looking back on everything that happened with Natalie, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Carol never pulled me aside at Christmas. Would I still be with Natalie? Would I have fallen for the pregnancy trap? Would I be raising another man's child, completely unaware I was being played? Probably, and that's a terrifying thought. But Carol did pull me aside. The dominoes did fall. The truth did come out. And I got my life back. So, in a weird way, I should probably thank Carol. Her attempt to warn me off her daughter actually saved me from years more of manipulation. Funny how things work out sometimes. These days, when I drive past Natalie's old apartment building, I don't feel anything. No anger, no sadness, just nothing. It's just a building. She's just a person who used to be in my life, and that's exactly where she belongs. In the past, I ran into Jared once actually. About a year after everything went down, I was at a gas station and he was at the pump next to mine. We made eye contact. He looked like hell. Dark circles under his eyes, cheaper clothes, older car. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, then closed it again. I just nodded and went back to pumping my gas. What was there to say? He knew what he'd done. I knew what he'd done. We were both living with the consequences of choices he made. He finished first and drove away without a word. That was the last time I saw him. Angela sends me a Christmas card every year now, usually with a photo of her and the kids, sometimes with her new boyfriend. She always writes a little note thanking me for helping her see the truth. This year's card said her kids were thriving, her career was better than ever, and she'd finally stopped having nightmares about Jared and Natalie. I was happy for her. She deserved peace after what they put her through. Tom and his new lady friend got engaged last fall. He called to tell me personally, asked if I'd come to the wedding. I said yes without hesitation. Tom was a good man who'd been married to the wrong woman for too long. If anyone deserved happiness, it was him. The wedding was beautiful, small, intimate, just close family and friends. Tom looked happier than I'd ever seen him. During the reception, he pulled me aside. I need to tell you something, he said. What's up? Natalie sent me a letter from prison, asked if I'd help her when she got out. I felt my jaw tighten. What did you say? I said no. Tom looked me in the eyes. I told her I loved her, that I'd always be her father, but I couldn't enable her anymore, that she needed to figure life out on her own. It was the hardest letter I've ever written. That took guts. It took you showing me the truth. He put his hand on my shoulder. I'm serious. If you hadn't come to me with that evidence, I'd probably still be making excuses for her, still bailing her out, still letting Carol tell me I was being too hard on our daughter. You're a good father, Tom, but being a good father doesn't mean letting your kid walk all over you. He nodded. I'm learning that. Bit late, but I'm learning. We went back to the party, and I watched Tom dance with his new wife, and I thought about how everyone in this story had moved on except Natalie. We'd all found new relationships, new happiness, new chapters, and she was still stuck in the same patterns, just with a new location and a new last name. At some point, you have to wonder if people like that are even capable of change, or if the best we can do is protect ourselves and warn others. I'm inclined to believe the latter, but that's not my problem anymore. I did my part. I told the truth. I helped the people who deserved help. I walked away from the people who didn't. Now I'm just living my life, with Amy and our cat and our tiny apartment with the good lighting, with Sunday brunches and game nights with friends and work promotions I actually earned. With a life that's mine, actually mine, not built on someone else's lies or manipulation or empty promises. And honestly, that's the best revenge of all. Not the legal consequences, not the public shaming, not even the prison sentence. The best revenge is being genuinely happy while they're still miserable. It's knowing they lost something real while chasing something fake. It's moving on so completely that they become nothing more than a cautionary tale you tell at dinner parties. That's where I'm at now, and it feels damn good. Sometimes I wonder if Natalie ever thinks about what she lost. If she lies awake at night in whatever new city she's in, thinking about the people who actually cared about her before she burned every bridge. But mostly I don't wonder. Mostly, I don't think about her at all. And that, more than anything else, tells me I've finally moved on. The girl who used to take up so much space in my head, so much energy in my life, now takes up none. She's just a name I sometimes see in old photos I haven't deleted yet. A story I tell when it's relevant. A memory that's fading a little more every day. And I'm good with that. Actually, I'm better than good. I'm free. Free from the anxiety of wondering what she's lying about. Free from the financial drain of supporting someone who should have been supporting themselves. Free from the emotional manipulation of someone who saw relationships as transactions. Just free. And if there's one thing I want people to take away from this whole mess, it's this. Trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. If someone's story doesn't add up, there's probably a reason. If you're constantly making excuses for someone's behavior, you're probably being manipulated. Walk away. It's hard, but do it anyway. Your future self will thank you. I know mine does. Every single day, I wake up grateful that I'm not still trapped in that relationship. Grateful that Carol said what she said. Grateful that I paid attention to the red flags instead of ignoring them. Grateful that I chose myself over someone who was never going to choose me. That's the real lesson here. Not about exposing cheaters or getting revenge or even about justice. It's about knowing when to walk away. About recognizing when you're being used and having the strength to stop allowing it. About understanding that you deserve better than someone who sees you as a means to an end. I deserved better. I got better. And I'm never going back. That's my story. That's my truth. And I'm sticking to it. The last time I checked on Angela's divorce proceedings, everything had been finalized. Jared was paying substantial child support and alimony. Angela got the house. The kids were in therapy, but doing better. Jared was living in a studio apartment in a different state, working at a job that paid less than half what he used to make. He'd lost everything, trying to have everything. Kind of poetic, when you think about it. As for what Jared's doing now, I don't know. Don't care. He made his choices. He gets to live with them. Same as Natalie. Same as all of us. That's life. You make choices. You face consequences. You either learn and grow or you don't. I learned. I grew. I became more careful, more more aware, more protective of my peace. And that's worth more than any amount of revenge or vindication. It's been almost 3 years since that Christmas when Carol pulled me aside. 3 years since I started unraveling Natalie's lies. 3 years since I took my life back. In that time, I've been promoted twice. Amy and I are talking about getting engaged. I've reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with while I was with Natalie. I've saved more money than I ever did when I was supporting her. I've traveled. I've grown. I've healed. I'm not the same person I was when I was with her. I'm better, stronger, wiser. And I have Natalie to thank for that, in a weird way. She taught me what I wouldn't accept in a relationship. She showed me what manipulation looks like. She proved that being kind doesn't mean being stupid. Those are valuable lessons, even if they came at a high cost. Would I do it all again knowing what I know now? Hell no. I'd run the other direction the first time Natalie asked to borrow money, but I can't change the past. I can only learn from it. And I have. Boy, have I learned. These days, when someone asks to borrow money, I say no without guilt. When someone's story doesn't add up, I ask questions instead of making excuses. When someone shows me who they are, I believe them the first time. I don't give third chances anymore. Sometimes I don't even give second chances. And I'm okay with that. Better than okay, actually, because I've realized that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time, your energy, your resources, your compassion. Some people are just takers, and they'll keep taking until there's nothing left. The key is recognizing them before they empty you out. I got lucky. I recognized it in time to save myself. Not everyone does. So if you're reading this and something about it sounds familiar, if there's someone in your life who always needs help but never seems to get better, if you're constantly making excuses for someone's behavior, please, for the love of God, pay attention. Those are red flags, not challenges to overcome. Walk away while you still can. Your future self will thank you. Mine certainly does. Every single day. And honestly, that's the happiest ending I could have asked for. Not justice, not revenge, not even closure. Just freedom. And a chance to build something better with someone who actually deserves it. That's all any of us really want, isn't it? To be seen, to be valued, to be loved for who we actually are, not what we can provide. I have that now with Amy. Real partnership, real trust, real love. It's not dramatic. It's not filled with chaos and crisis. It's just good, solid, healthy. And after everything I went through with Natalie, healthy feels like a damn miracle. So that's where I am now. Happy, healthy, healing, with someone who chooses me every day, not because they need something, but because they want me. What a concept, right? It only took $35,000 and 2 years of my life to learn what that feels like. Expensive lesson, but worth it, because now I know better. Now I am better, and that's something Natalie can never take away from me, no matter how hard she tried. I won, not because she lost, but because I found something real after escaping something fake, and that's a victory I'll take any day. The autumn, after everything settled down, I was at a coffee shop working on some reports for work when I overheard 2 women talking at the table next to me. One of them was showing the other something on her phone, and I heard a name that made my blood run cold. Natalie. I tried not to eavesdrop, but they were right there, and the woman talking was upset. She seemed so nice at first. We met at yoga class and she told me she was recovering from a bad relationship trying to rebuild her life. She asked if I knew of any places hiring because she was looking for work. My stomach dropped. And then she asked to borrow $200 for a deposit on an apartment. Said she'd pay me back in 2 weeks when she got her first paycheck. Oh God. Let me guess, the other woman said. You never saw that money again. Not only that, she blocked me on everything. I can't even find her now. It's like she disappeared. I wanted to say something. Wanted to warn them that this was Natalie's pattern, that this woman was just the latest in a long line of victims. But I couldn't. It wasn't my place. I didn't know these people, so I did the next best thing. I pulled out my phone and found the shared document our support group had created. The one with all of Natalie's aliases and photos and known scams. I sent it anonymously to the coffee shop's local Facebook group with a warning. Be careful of this person operating in the area. Multiple victims of fraud. Within an hour, it had been shared 50 times. By the end of the day, over 200 shares. Someone else must have recognized Natalie's pattern because people started commenting with their own stories. A guy who'd hired her as a nanny only to have her steal from his house. A woman who'd let Natalie stay with her for a week who came home to find half her jewelry missing. A man who dated her briefly and ended up with charges on his credit card from across the country. The post went viral in our city. Local news even picked it up, though they didn't use names. Just woman operating local scams with a blurred photo. Natalie disappeared from town after that. Deleted all her social media, stopped going to her usual spots, just vanished. Good riddance. But it made me realize something. People like Natalie don't stop. They just move. They find new victims in new cities. They reinvent themselves over and over. And unless someone warns people, unless someone speaks up, they keep getting away with it. That's why I'm telling this story now. Not for revenge, not for attention, but because somewhere out there, Natalie is probably spinning her sob story to someone new, and that person deserves to know what they're getting into. They deserve the truth, just like I deserved the truth that Christmas when Carol pulled me aside. Sometimes the truth hurts, but ignorance hurts worse. So here's the truth. If someone seems too perfect, they probably are. If someone's always in crisis, they probably create it. If someone's stories never quite add up, they're probably lying. Trust that feeling, that gut instinct that something's off. It's trying to protect you. Listen to it. I wish I had listened sooner. Would have saved myself a lot of money and heartache. But I'm listening now, to my gut. to my heart, to the warning signs I used to ignore, and my life is so much better for it. Amy and I were looking at rings last weekend. Nothing's official yet, but we're heading that direction. And for the first time in my life, I'm excited about the future instead of anxious about it. That's what happens when you're with someone who's honest, who's consistent, who doesn't have an ulterior motive. It's peaceful. And peace, I've learned, is underrated. Everyone talks about passion and excitement and butterflies. But peace? Peace is where it's at. Peace is knowing your partner isn't lying to you. Peace is trusting that the person you fell asleep next to is the same person you'll wake up next to. Peace is not having to check your bank account every day to make sure nothing suspicious happened. I have that now, and I'm never giving it up. Not for anyone. Especially not for someone like Natalie. She had her chance. She blew it. Multiple chances with multiple people, actually. Now she gets to live with that, and I get to live my life. A good life. A honest life. A peaceful life. With someone who loves me for me, not for what I can provide. That's the dream, right there, and I'm living it. Finally, after everything, after all the drama and lies and manipulation, I'm finally living the life I deserve. And it feels amazing. So to anyone going through something similar, to anyone who's being used or manipulated or lied to, there's a way out. There's a better life waiting for you on the other side of the truth. It's scary to face it. It's painful to walk away, but it's worth it. God, it's worth it. I promise. From someone who's been there and came out the other side, it's worth it. You're worth it. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Not even yourself, especially not yourself. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. You deserve partnership, not parasitism. And if you're not getting that, if someone's draining you instead of building you up, please, walk away. Save yourself while you still can. Because the longer you stay, the harder it gets to leave. I know, I was there, but I left. And my only regret is not leaving sooner. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you've lost $35,000 in 2 years of your life. Leave now. Leave today. Leave before it gets worse. Because it always gets worse. People like Natalie don't get better. They just get better at hiding it. Until they can't hide it anymore. And then they move on to the next victim. Don't be the next victim. Be the one who got away. Be the one who chose themselves. Be the one with the happy ending. Like me. Because I got my happy ending. It just wasn't with Natalie. It was after her. And that made all the difference. The story ends here. Not with a dramatic confrontation. Not with Natalie seeing the error of her ways. Not with some big revelation or apology. Just with me. Living my life. Happy, healthy, free. That's the real ending. That's the victory. Not her downfall, but my rise. And I'll take that any day. Every single day. For the rest of my life. Because I deserve it. And so do you. Remember that. Always remember that. You deserve better. Now go get it. That night, Jared showed up at my apartment drunk, trying to fight me and blame me for ruining his marriage and career. But I simply recorded the confrontation and sent it to Angela. Jared broke down, admitting he'd lost everything and drove away. Make sure to click on the screen to watch another story.